So again, the idea of sales tax, it's the extra money that you are going to pay for when you purchase an item. So if you go shopping for new clothes, you're going to pay for the item that, maybe you're buying a shirt, you're going to pay for the shirt, and then you're also going to pay tax on top of that. So when you look at the shirt, how many times have you guys, when you were little kids and you're like, oh, you get to have $20 to spend in the store, or you got a gift card, you get to spend $20, and then you look at something and go, oh, but it's $19.99, I can buy it. And your parent goes, no, you can't. $19.99 is below $20, but you have tax that you have to pay on top of it, and your parent knows tax is going to be much more than just 1 cent. Okay, so you have to have the idea of what tax is. Taxes, your sales tax, all depends on your county. So the county that you live in determines the sales tax every single year. We usually vote on it, okay? And you could go to, I think Cobb County has a higher sales tax than Gwinnett County does. So if you buy something in Gwinnett County, it might come out a little bit cheaper than it would in Cobb County or Fulton County or Forsyth County. So it just depends on what the percentage of tax is for your county, okay? Then you've got your tips. Tips is when you go and you are being provided a service. So like if you go to a restaurant, that's the most common way that we know that we pay tips. And just a heads up, one of the things that a lot of you don't seem to understand, you guys understand that there is a minimum wage, right? Okay, the country has created that there is a minimum wage. It's like $7 and some change per hour that everybody must be allowed to make. However, when you're in a restaurant industry, that's a little bit different, because the restaurant industry, they expect you to make tips. So if you become a server, your hourly wage is actually $2.13 an hour, because you're expected to earn the rest of your money through tips. So when you go to a restaurant, don't ever be one of those people who goes, I'm not giving them a tip. Don't do that, because then you're taking money away from them, okay? Because they have to pay taxes based off of earning minimum wage. And if they don't make enough tips to earn that minimum wage, they're actually getting charged for working themselves. Yes, your government also takes taxes out as well. So when you're receiving a paycheck from a new facility, you do. Huh? That might not. Depending on how much that they work. So like, if you, and let me tell you, being a server, if you are a server or waiter at a really good restaurant, a really nice restaurant, you can make some great money. I remember my husband and I once, for one of our anniversary dinners, we went to this kind of like really fancy steakhouse type thing. One of the ones where it was called Pampas, is the name of the restaurant, Pampas. So what they do is they serve you, like, you pick out a big cut of steak, and that steak is like $100-something, and then you have to pick out all of your different sides that you want separately. And it's one of those kind of restaurants. It's expensive to eat there, but the people who work there, they make a lot of money. So we actually got talking to our server, and we asked, it's a Wednesday night, it's probably a slow night. How much do you typically make on an average Wednesday night? He goes, slow nights, I'm usually making about $300. That's it.
What's fast nights looking like?
Fast night, he's like, I can clear almost 800. So, because again, in one night, in a 4-hour night, baby boy, $800 in 4 hours is a lot of money. Okay? So it all depends. Quiet. It all depends on where you're working at. You can make a lot of money. Okay? So markups, again, if you become a business owner and you are making a product, you decide that you're going to make a product and you want to sell that product, then you have to make sure that you sell it for more than it costs you to make it. So oftentimes you'll see in places like Target. Target's a real big, well, it's a big store, yes, but they also like to have on their ends, they like to showcase a small business of the month. They like to do that. And so what they'll do is the person, like, let's say that I make, I don't know, candles or something, and I go to Target and I say, I would like you to showcase me. Well, then Target is going to up the cost of what I'm selling my candles for so that they can make a profit. But I already upped the cost so that I can make a profit. Like maybe it takes me $1 to make a candle, but then I sell it for $5 so that I can make a $4 profit. Well, then if you buy it from me, you only have to pay $5, but if you buy it from Target, maybe they're going to sell it for $9 so that they can make an additional profit. Okay, so these are things that they're doing. Those are called markups. It increases the cost. Then you've got something called a discount. So a discount is when we take money off of the cost. So when things go on sale, when we have coupons for items, those are going to be the decreasing of the cost to you. That decreases your cost. Okay? Now, the only thing that does not change your cost at all is commission. Commission is the only thing that does not affect you. Okay, commission is something that people earn based off of what they have sold. So for example, if you are a real estate agent, you go and you are selling homes for a living. They aren't going to be paid what they sell. Okay, I'm selling my house. My house is going to be worth $550,000, right? The real estate agent that is going to be displaying my home, they're not making $550,000 off of selling my home. That $550,000 that goes to the person who originally owned the home. You pay off all your bank loans or whatever you have on it, and then you get to keep the rest. The real estate agent, they're just going to be earning a commission off of what they're selling to you, okay, or what they're selling for you. And that's usually somewhere, it could be anywhere between 3% to 6%. There's a lot of different jobs that can focus on commission, okay? Some jobs in the mall, like if you work in the mall and you work at a clothing store, you often be asked, hey, did anybody help you today? The reason that they're asking you those questions is because they want to be able to provide for the person who is working their proper commission. All right, so those are the ideas. Yes, dear? So it depends. So you have things that are like a job like mine. We get a yearly salary. So we are told, hey, this is the amount of money that you're going to make each year. Okay, so you're not based off of how many hours you work. So you have hourly wage and you have yearly salaries. Okay, so there's a difference between there. An hourly wage job would be something like, oh, I'm going to go and work at Publix as a cashier. I'm going to go work at McDonald's in the fast food lanes. You know, those are going to be your hourly wages. Okay, so you work by the hour. So if you work 20 hours, then you get paid for your 20 hours. But the next week, if you're not able to work as much, maybe you can only work 10 hours, you're not going to get paid as much. Yeah.
Oh, paying taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I would never.
Well, if you can think of it, let me know. I'm happy to help and answer questions. I know a lot of this can be like overwhelming, but again, this is the kind of stuff that as you become an adult, this is important stuff for you. This is important for you to know how to shop properly, okay, how to price things out, how to budget for things as well. Yes. That you're going to wind up having, so sometimes if something happens and you don't pay your federal taxes or your state income taxes or things of that sort, you can get audited by the IRS. You could be given a fine. If it's a really big thing, you might go to jail. Okay, but again, that's not what we're focusing on here. We're focusing on the day-to-day life of our discounts, our tips, our sales tax. We're not talking about federal taxes or, you know, state income taxes. We're not talking about what comes out of your paycheck. We're talking about when you go shopping, what kind of tax are you paying? Yes.
If a person doesn't pay those taxes,
okay, we're not talking about that one right now, honey. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Right now, I need to make sure that this is what we're going to be covering, right? We're focusing on this area. I'm happy to answer those questions after we've taught this stuff, okay? And I can't answer everything because I'm not the one who can tell you what the IRS is going to do because I've never had to have that happen to me, okay? All right, so let's take a look at these different situations. First thing that's really important, when we started our unit, we started it with that proportion concept. So we had it where we did the part over the whole, and it equals a percent over 100, we're going to be utilizing this quite often. Our part over whole equals percent over 100. This is a very, very common method for being able to work out our percentages. Okay, the part in these situations, when we're focusing on it, these are going to represent your dollar amount that you're getting to pay for tip, or your dollar amount for your taxes, or the dollar amount of your discounts, your markups, your commissions, everything there. Okay, so I'm going to put etc. That's always going to be the part. The whole in this situation is going to be what we call our subtotal. Okay, it's also going to be money, but it's the subtotaled amount. So remember, like I said, when you were little and you're going to the store and you were told you can spend $20, and you said, oh, here's this item for $19.99, and your parents said, no, you can't afford that, even though it's under $20, because you had to pay your tax on top of it. Okay, that $19.99 is what we would call a subtotal. If we have more than one item that we're buying, we have to calculate and add all the items that we're purchasing together first before we ever do any kind of discounts or tax on those items. Okay? And now, also to keep in mind with discounts, sometimes some items might be discounted and other items in your cart aren't. So you have to be careful about that as well. Just because you get a discount on something doesn't mean your entire shopping cart is being discounted. It's just the specific items that you might be purchasing. So let's take a look at this very first problem. We've got a soccer ball is going to cost us $30 and tax is 6%. And we want to know, what is the taxed amount? We just want to know the taxed amount. So we're just looking for our part in this situation. And we don't know what that is. So again, like we always say, we set it up where we're identifying what's the part. And in this situation, the part is going to represent our dollared tax amount, which we do not know what it is. So we're going to put an X. Our whole, and make sure you're copying this down. Remember, you guys are going to get to use these notes on your quiz on Friday. That was discussed in our meetings. You get to use your notes, but your notes are only as good as what you take. Right, Kamari? Find a pencil. Find something in your backpack to write with. I don't have any more pencils. Okay? Okay, our whole is going to represent our subtotal. So what the prices are before we are spending our tax. So right now, before we're spending any money, that's just going to be the cost of the actual soccer ball, which is that $30. And then our percentage is going to be the only percent that we happen to see up here, which is our 6%. So we can place this information into our proportion. We're not dancing. We're going to place it into our proportion, the part over the whole, the percent over 100. Do you have a question? No? Okay. Let me just go over this one with them real quick, okay? All right. So we have X over 30. That's going to equal 6 over 100. Okay, we have our X over 30, our 6 over 100. That's our proper setup. Now, Addison, what are we going to multiply together? Good. So we're doing our cross product. Remember, we always do our cross product. Once we've got our proportion set up, we're going to be utilizing our cross product. So we're doing 100 times X, which gives us that 100X. We're doing 30 times 6, which gives us 180. Okay, once we've got it set up in this method, what do we now do? Coven. Divide. And what are we dividing both sides by? 100. Okay, so that's going to give us X is equal to, you're going to get 1.8, but we're talking about money. So if I were to put 1.8, yeah, it's $1.80. Don't forget, you can't put 1.8. You have to put the zero behind it. You have to put that zero behind it for money. Okay, and again, this represents your taxed amount, which is what the question was asking for. It only wanted to know what is the amount that you're paying for your tax. So we would say we're paying $1.80 for our tax. Now, question 2 is asking, what's the total cost of the soccer ball going to be? So when, again, I go up and I'm like, I want to buy this soccer ball, and I give it to the cashier. What is the cashier going to do? What are they going to charge me? they're going to charge me for the cost of the ball. They're going to charge the cost of the ball. They're going to also charge for the tax. So they're going to combine that together. So yes, even though it says it's $30, you had to pay taxes on it. You had to combine those together for $31.80. Okay, so again, for total cost, let me underline that. When we're talking about your total cost, you're going to be taking whatever your subtotal was, and you're going to add it with, in this case, the amount of money that you spent on your taxes. So we're going to take our $30 and we're going to add it with that $1.80, and that gives us that total cost of $31.80. So you have to be really careful about understanding whether the question is asking for your total cost, or are they just asking for the part? Are they just wanting the tax? Are they just wanting the tip? Are they just wanting your discount? Okay? All right, we've got a hoverboard. A hoverboard costs $280, but Amazon has it on sale for 35% off. We want to know, how much is Amazon selling it for? So before we move on and start working things out, we have to understand what the question is asking us. They want to know, how much is Amazon selling it for? So is this question asking for me to solve for the part only, or is it asking me to solve for a total cost? When we want to know how much is Amazon going to sell it for, are we going to ask for the part or the total cost? Total cost. We are looking for a total cost in this situation. When we want to know how much is Amazon selling it for, we're looking for a total cost. That is always the thing that you want to identify first. Do we need to have the part? Are we just looking for a tax or a tip or a discount or a commission? Or are we looking for the absolute final price? Put those away. So we're going to set it up kind of like how we did problem 1 and problem 2 combined. We're doing like what we did with problem 1 and problem 2, but we're going to combine it. So the first thing we're going to do is identify our proportion. So our part in this problem is going to represent the money amount that our discount is worth. How much money we're going to discount off, which we don't know. That's going to be our X. We do not know how much money we are taking off. That's just going to be our X. Then we've got our whole. Our whole is going to equal, again, our subtotal, which in this case is the $280. Then we've got our percent. Our percent in this situation is 35%. That, again, we are taking that off. So we're going to do 35 over 100. Okay, we've set up our proportion. We set up our proportion like we did last time. We use our cross product to solve it. So we're multiplying 100 times x to get us 100x. We're going to multiply 280 times 35. That comes out to 9,800. And then we would divide both sides by 100 and 98. So that comes out to $98. Again, that represents the amount of money that we're going to take off. But that's not what Amazon sells it for. Okay, if it's discounted, if we are discounting it, remember a discount means that we're going to decrease our price. So how can we decrease the price? Subtract, right? We're going to subtract. So we're going to take whatever our subtotal was, which was the $280, and we're now going to subtract, this time, our discount. We're going to subtract our discount, so we're going to subtract the $98. And that comes out to $182 that Amazon's going to sell it for. Not right now, you can wait. Okay, so again, you are looking through, you have to make sure that you're carefully reading through the problem and identifying, do they only want the tax or the tip or the discount or the commission, or do they want a final price for the item where you would have to add your taxes and your tips or your markups, or you would subtract your discount from it. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip it on over to the next page. You're going to flip it on over to the back. And girls, I know you just came in. I'll put this back up here at the end of class, okay? Turn around. Okay. Kevin is selling t-shirts that he made, and it cost him $18 to make a shirt. And he wants to mark up the shirt by 55%. So he's going to increase his price. And we want to know, what is he going to sell the shirt for? Okay, we want to know, what is he going to sell the shirt for? So again, we have our subtotal. That's our whole. Our whole is going to be the $18. Our part this time is going to be the amount of money that we mark up, which we don't know. That's our X. And again, our percentage is that the markup's going to be 55%. Okay, so we're going to have X over 18. Do you have a question? What? Nope. Okay, we have X over 18 is equal to 55 over 100. Okay, we're going to do our cross product there. So we're going to multiply. We're going to get 100X is equal to 990. And then we would divide both sides by 100. And that comes out to X equaling $9.90. Again, this is the amount that we're marking it up by. And here's what I want you to make sure you understand. When we talk about that this is the markup, we also call this the profit that they're going to make. Right? It cost him $18 to make the item, so he's still going to sell it for $18 to at least break even. But in order for him to make a profit, he marks it up even more. So that $18 plus that $9.90, that's how much he's going to sell it for. $18 is going to cover the cost it took to make the shirt. $9.90 is the profit that he's going to make on top of the shirt. Okay? So we're going to add these together. We're going to take our $18 and we're going to add it with the $9.90 that he's going to profit off of it. And so the total sale that he's selling it for is $27.90. That's how much he's going to sell the shirt for. $27.90. Okay, that's how our markup works. Now, this question says, if he sells 12 shirts, then how much money is he going to make after costs? So again, if we're talking about after costs, we're talking about the profit, aren't we? How much money does he make after costs? We're talking about his profit. So how much was his profit again for just one shirt? 18 was how much it took him to make it. $9.90, right? $9.90 was his profit for just one shirt. So we're going to take that profit that he made for one shirt, which was $9.90, and now we're going to multiply it by the 12 shirts. We're going to multiply it by 12 shirts that he's going to sell. And so he'll make a total of $118.80. That's his total profit. That would be his total profit. Okay, I want you guys to do problem number 5 on your own. You've got a cart of groceries. We have a coupon that's going to take 15% off of the entire cart. So we want to know how much money are we going to spend on the groceries to the nearest penny. How many decimal points is behind or how many numbers behind the decimal point for the penny spot? 2. 2 spots. At the end of class you may. So again, Janet has $148.62 in groceries in her cart. She's got a 15% off coupon, so we want to know how much she's going to spend on the groceries. So our part is missing, right? The part is going to represent the discount, how much discount off that we're going to take, which we don't know what that is yet, so we're just going to put an X. The whole is how much money she has right now in her cart, which is that $148.62. That's our subtotal so far. We're going to take 15% off. So there's our percentage. Okay, so we're going to set this up. We're going to get X over 148.62 equals 15 over 100. Okay, and then we can do our cross product. So we're going to multiply. That's going to give us 100x is now equal to 2,229.3. When we divide that by 100, we're going to get $22, right? $22, but then it comes out to 293 cents. Remember, we need to round it properly. So which one of these numbers is where the penny is? Is it the 2, the 9, or the 3? Which one's the penny? The 9. The 9 is our penny. Shh. The 9 is our penny spot. That's our penny. So we're going to look at the 3, and the 3 is going to tell us to either keep it at 29 or round it to 30. Are we going to keep it at 29 or round it to 30? Keep it. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep at 29 cents. So this is going to be $22.29 off. This is the discount. This is the amount of money that we get to take off of the grocery bill. So now we have to take our $148.62 and we're going to subtract the amount of money that we get to take off, which is $22.29. So our total grocery bill is going to be $126.33. Okay, you have loaded into Google Classroom. You have a single IXL skill. You need to get to a 70 or higher.